another episode of Millionaires Are Made, the show that teaches you tiny little bits to help improve you on your life's journey. Today's episode is going to be a fun one and a tough one for me. It is how to improve your mental health by sharing your feelings. I just landed in St. Thomas. We are currently shooting from Capital Air's gate in the St. Thomas airport. We've got three awesome guests going on with us today, and I did just read an article or a little quote that I wanted to share with you all. It's kind of the entire purpose of this show. As I traveled and met people and learned that they didn't quite have all the same knowledge as other people, I decided to start Millionaires Are Made. I want multiple people from different backgrounds sharing tiny bits of info that hopefully you can take something, learn, and grow in your journey today. So this is the quote. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing it. Every person you meet knows something you don't. There is something to be learned from everyone. And that is literally the motto we have. We don't have high-paid billionaire guests on this show. We have everyday people that are doing things in specific industries or lives that have something to share. And today, hopefully, we can improve your mental health by teaching you how to share your feelings a little better. So my tip for sharing feelings and improving mental health is actually another quote, another tip from an earlier episode. One of my best pals, his name's Alex Graff, shout out. If you need any film or acting, he's the guy to talk to, but his tip is vulnerability is the secret to connection. So my tip to improve your mental health by sharing your feelings is be vulnerable. A lot easier said than done, but there's ways to work on it. You can check out different sites online or to use a therapist, but being vulnerable is the number one way to connect authentically with others. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. We're going to start with our first guest here. Her name is Bonnie. She's a women's empowerment coach, and she's got some awesome tips for us as well. Hey, Bonnie, how you doing?
Hey, Austin. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on here, and welcome everybody. And I'm glad to share my tips with everybody.
All right, well, let's start off with our first question. Who are you?
Okay, I'm Bonnie Hardy. I am a women's empowerment coach based in Central Florida, and I empower midlife women to say bon voyage to the shackles of their mind so they can live their best life and reclaim their joy and passion. I am also a vision board expert, so I help people to create a vision for their future so they can soar in 2024.
That's awesome. How many vision boards have you helped with this year?
Well, for this year, it's only like 10 days into the year. I've only helped with a few, but last year I
Oh,
helped with a whole ton. So we're gonna do a whole lot of vision boards in person and in group settings and online a whole lot this year.
do you do vision boards all year long or just towards the end of the year or beginning of the year?
You can do a vision board, whenever you want. Some people do vision boards like every 6 months,
Okay.
and some people do it like every 3 months. Some people they have a vision right now and they'll do it for the rest of the year
Okay.
because your priorities change and everything changes and stuff. So, but I could do a vision board at any time with anybody.
Awesome. I love it. All right, Bonnie, I've got a super important question for you. If I wanted to improve my mental health by sharing my feelings with others, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
My tiny piece of advice is for you to be authentic, Austin.
Authentic. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, you need to be authentic with your feelings, with yourself, and with others. And I actually just had a conversation with somebody this morning. They got a little anxious and stuff, and I was like, okay, go off to the side, be by yourself. Let people know that you need just a few minutes to yourself. Have code words with other people, your bosses, and say, I just need to go off, be by myself for 2 minutes, and it's okay. And I show people how to do meditation, deep breathing. I said, take 5 deep breaths in through the nose, hold it for a few seconds, and out through the mouth. Do that. And then I could visibly see her within like 30 seconds, relaxing total. And she was okay. And I went back to work, and everything's fine since then.
Okay, so that's not just with anger. That's with anxiety and other emotions as well.
Yes, with anything, you get anxiety, if you're getting depressed, or if you have anger issues or anything like that, or you just get overwhelmed. Sometimes you get too stimulated, being out in public with so many things going on. You get overwhelmed, you get anxious. Take a breath. Just take a breath, and you're gonna be okay.
Very cool. And that'll help you stay authentic, huh?
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this, Bonnie. Where on your life journey did you learn that piece of advice?
I learned it the school of hard knocks myself. I am like my own best client, to be honest with you, Austin. I am 59 years old. I have anxiety, depression, PTSD from various things. I've been involved in various crazy things, homelessness, and people being bullying me and stuff like that. So I've learned to try to be authentic with myself and be honest with my feelings, so that I don't get stuff doesn't get too crazy and stuff. So I learned to just think about my feelings and stuff like that.
Okay. So sharing your feelings, take a deep breath, and then it makes you more authentic in order to express yourself with others.
Great, perfect. Yes, you once you know what's going on in your life, you can be more authentic and express yourself properly with others.
Awesome. Well, Bonnie, that's an awesome piece of advice. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
going to move on to our next guest now, and we'll bring you back out in the round robin.
All right.
All right. Next up, we've got our Richard here. Richard Kaufman, the comeback coach. Oh, sorry. Let me ask you, Richard, who are you?
I am the comeback coach. I am a guy that went from dope dealer to
Ooh.
hope dealer. I am
Ooh.
a top 0.5 podcast, globally ranked podcast, two-time best-selling author, and a ninth grade dropout that has a podcast that has over 1.6 million downloads with
Damn.
some of the greatest guests in history, including John Lee Dumas and other people like that. But other than that, I'm just a guy that knows a guy.
I'm a guy that knows a guy. Do we have a link for his podcast? Oh, it's already out there. Perfect. Cool. Check out that link down below if you're interested in Richard's amazing podcast. And then, hey, Richard, if I got a little question for you here. If I wanted to improve my mental health by sharing feelings, what piece of advice would you give me?
In the words of one of my best friends, Gary Vaynerchuk, be
Ooh,
real AF.
be
Don't
real
don't
AF.
don't focus on your filters. Be real all the time.
Be real all the time. Like, might be easier said than done with social media out there. Am I right?
Yeah, but and that, especially now with AI, the more real you are, the more you're going to be able to help more people because there's a lot of fake people out there. So when you start to become real, more people are going to gravitate towards you.
Or non-existent people that are just computer programs.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Well, I mean, this might be easier, but where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
It was actually with a chance meeting with Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk here in New Jersey at
Okay.
his father's place in Springfield, New Jersey. And I got to spend about a half hour with him, have lunch with him, and got to talk with him. And he's the one that made me write my book. He's the one that made me start my podcast. He's the one that gave me the comeback coach moniker. So if it wasn't for Gary Vaynerchuk or Gary V, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today.
So he's the one that inspired you to do everything, it sounds like.
Yeah, because he taught me, you got to be real. And when I told him, well, I told him my story. He's like, well, you need to write a book and put all your dirty shit out there. So that's exactly what I did. I wrote a book, put all my dirty shit out there that I've ever done. And now that's how the podcast started too.
What's the name of the book?
A Hero's Journey from Darkness to Light.
What kind of dirty shit's in there? I'm gonna have to read that.
Oh, there's so. I mean, I've come back from drug addiction, alcoholism, homelessness, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, blindness. I've divorced 3 times. I've done it all, and now I'm married with a beautiful wife, 3 beautiful children, living in a beautiful home, having a great business. So it's all the way from the rising of the phoenix, like coming through the ashes.
So, was meeting Gary Vee the moment this all changed?
Yeah, because that's when I realized, okay, I'm not the only one, and I need to find a way to get my story out there. And he was always real. He was never that guy that was fake and trying to use these big words. He might drop an F-bomb once in a while, but
Absolutely.
everybody knew that, hey, that's Gary. That's who he is. And
Yeah.
you'll never see him in a 3-piece suit coming out on stage. That's not him. So he always kept it real AF.
Cool. Very cool. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope. I just so grateful to be here. And guys, like my T-shirt says, today I decide. You get to decide to be the victim today, or you could be the victor today. You get to decide.
Victim or victor? I like that. Awesome, Richard. Well, thank you so much. We'll bring you back out for the round robin, and we'll move on to our next guest. Thank you. Next up, we've got Dr. Tan. Hey, Dr. Tan, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm filming this from an airport. Just landed back home in St. Thomas. Excited to get back out. Question for you. Who are you?
Well, firstly, like all of us, I'm a human being.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
And at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I'm also a grief transformation coach, a
Okay.
certified grief transformation, resiliency, life success coach, speaker, and author with a background in veterinarian oncology.
Oh, wow. What exactly is a grief transformation coach?
So, what grief transformations coach is, I help you when you choose to. When you choose to, I help you to move through and beyond your grief. Because as dark as it's possible, that at the end of that, it is possible to regain your joy, consistent peace of mind, and live a life that you where you feel fully and truly alive and thrive even better. See, a lot of people don't realize that grief is just the other side of love. If you don't love, you don't grieve.
Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right. I've got an important question for you, Dr. Tan. If I wanted to improve my mental health with sharing feelings, what piece of advice could you give me?
One thing that I would say, having my own experience and my clients' experience, is if you are grieving and you want to share your feelings, then do that smartly.
Okay. Are you ready for another question then? I'm
Absolutely.
excited for this one. I want to learn more about where you came from. What on your life journey taught you that piece of advice? How did you learn it?
So when I say smartly just now, some of us say share our feelings openly. Some of us say don't share your feeling with people that might hurt you. So smartly, firstly, so I want to explain and then I'll get how I get there. So smartly means to share it with the people who can relate to you, who's able to relate to you, and who's able to support you. Because with grief, it's a very sensitive thing. And many clients prospective client come to me and say, you know, I say this to this, and to that, and they just hurt me more. Sometimes people say, be strong or give it time or all these things that makes grievers actually is actually become more miserable and hurt a lot more and suffers more because there are so many myths and misunderstanding about grief. How do I get there? A good part of it is from my own life experience, and the other part is from the more than 25,000 people, the 25,000 people that I have helped successfully move and through and beyond grief. And personally, I experienced grief since I was 5, and and continuing on.
25,000 people you've helped with grief.
More than that
That's
by now. That's last count. That's a couple of years ago, and then I stopped counting.
wow. You're doing some good work there. So I think we just posted your website. So yeah, if you're dealing with grief, Dr. Tan sounds like the one to go talk to. Um, and then what a great tip. Thank you so much for teaching us how to share feelings. Are you ready to move on to the round robin?
Absolutely.
All right, let's bring Richard out. Let's bring Bonnie out. All right, guys, how are y'all? Still with us, huh?
We are
All right.
here.
Let's start with Bonnie here. And Bonnie, can you really quickly refresh what your tip was?
Yes, my tip was to be authentic with yourself and your feelings and everybody else. Let everybody know how you're feeling about what's going on in your life.
Very cool. And Richard, I want to hear your feedback, but it sounds like you guys were on almost the same wavelength. What do you think about
Yeah,
her tip?
I think it's great. I'm a ninth grade dropout, so I can't I don't use words like authentic because I can only do like one syllable words. But for me, same thing. It's just being real all the time, and not trying to be something that you're not.
That's great. Dr. Tan, what do you think about Bonnie's tip?
Oh, I love both Bonnie's and Richard's tips, being authentic and be real. And when I said my tip just now is to share your feelings smartly. That does not mean not being authentic or being real. It's actually more like a yes and. It is one of the tools I teach my client. It's a yes and. Yes, you want to be authentic, and if you're really sensitive, kind of you're already hurting. You don't want to post your wound to other people, and then people throw vinegar at it, and you like can't stand it and put yourself out, right? So it's a yes and yes, be real, yes, be authentic, and if you don't think they don't know what they're talking about, then find somebody else. Keep looking for somebody who's able to relate and be there and support.
That's a good addition. I like that. Yeah, the yes and. Yes, it's good to be real and authentic and share, but your inner circle, hopefully you have a strong one, especially when dealing with grief, one of the toughest things out there. But your inner circle is definitely going to be an important part of that. It's a good little tidbit, Dr. Tan. So I guess Richard, Bonnie. Do you want to I guess reflect on Richard's tip? You guys have a very similar one.
Yes, it's we all have great tips, and I do agree with Richard on his tips, and he and I do have a lot in common and stuff. So we're going to definitely have to get connected on Facebook.
Making best friends
So
on the show,
yeah,
live on air.
yeah. Hey, great connections and stuff. And Richard, you're an inspiration. So great, great. You're good. I'm sorry, I'm tongue tied right now. I knew what I was going to say, but I didn't want to come out. So yeah, you're an inspiration to me, Richard. Both of you
No
guys are.
worries.
All four of you, all three of you guys are. So
Oh, look at that! I love it. Well, let's go. Let's move on to my tip then. So, mine was be vulnerable. Vulnerability is the secret to connection, and sharing feelings. Obviously, is the way to connect. One of the strongest ways to connect with humans. Dr. Tan, what do you think about that?
I would say that is an awesome tips. Be vulnerable with yourself in particular, because sometimes we are even that we have a challenge doing that, and also it's the same things. It's allow yourself to be vulnerable, and at the same time, if you're already hurting, don't if you're able to don't hurt yourself more with sometimes in this social media it's not even people you're dealing with and
Yeah,
so in that scenario, yes, you want to be vulnerable, and you want to be able to be smart doing it.
vulnerable and smart. Bonnie, what are your thoughts?
I had to make sure I unmuted myself. So yes, you do have to be vulnerable. You have to be smart. You have to just kind of expose yourself. And like Doctor said, expose yourself to the right people and make sure that you're in a circle who's going to support you, and just make sure that you let people know how you're feeling, and show that you're a true human being and not a robot. Some people are so robotic. They're always so always super duper happy, nothing ever goes bad. Always super duper sad, and nothing ever goes good. So people, you're vulnerable. If you're gonna be serious about stuff, try to also bring some humor into it as much as possible too.
That's very true. Richard, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, and I love it. I'm the most vulnerable person you're ever going to meet. I'm the same goofy guy on camera than I am off camera. We ever get together, you're all getting hugs. But I'm the same guy I'll cry at the drop of a hat. Like today, I just lost my aunt that saved my life 30 years ago, and I'll be putting a post about that. And I
Wow.
know I'm going to cry, but it's okay because that's who I am. And once people know that you're vulnerable and it's real, there's fake vulnerability, then there's real vulnerability. But once people know that you're real, that's when they can relate and they say, okay, Rich is hurting. So when I'm hurting, I can reach out to him because he knows how I feel. So that's why I do, why I'm so vulnerable online is because I want people to know that it's okay not to be okay and it's okay to open up.
Richard, you didn't have to do this show today. Holy cow. You could have
Yeah, but that's what we're
postponed.
talking about. We're talking about being real. We're talking about telling people what your feelings are, right?
That's true. That's a tough one, man. I'm sorry to hear that.
Well,
Wow.
she's my angel, and she's been in my life since the day I was born. So now I can honor her.
Wow, thank you so much for being here, Richard. That's a tough one. We're here for you. We're here. Let us know. We'll definitely connect after the show. Man, thanks again. That's crazy. Dr. Tan, do you want to really quickly refresh us what your tip was?
Yes, my tip is to when you share your feelings to do that smartly, which is yes, to be vulnerable, to be real, to be authentic. And if you're already hurting, if you're already injured in your heart with grief, then do that with people who's able to relate and people who can be there for you, just so you don't get hurt even more. And keep looking, keep searching. Sometimes we say, oh, people don't understand and we shut down. That's not what being smart about. You do want to share it. Keep searching, keep looking. For instance, I do a free grief tips and chat on every Wednesday evening. And that's free. It's online. Anybody can jump in and everyone in the group able to relate and support and connect with you.
That's awesome. And we did share your link. So anyone going to a group, Richard included, free tips are on Dr. Tan's website. Hey, Bonnie, what do you think about her tip?
Dr. Tan, I love your tip. You are correct. You do have to be vulnerable with people who will meet you where you are, and they can commiserate with you, and they understand what you're going through, and they're not going to kind of slough it off and say, oh, I've had it worse, other people have had it worse. Just be there for them, and and just help them out as much as they can and say, you are not alone. I might not know exactly what it is you're going through, but I will be here to help you as much as I can. Whether you need somebody just to talk to, just to listen, just to whatever, I am here for you. Just, let me know if whatever you needed from me, I will do that for you. So definitely find the right people to talk to when things are going crazy for you.
Okay. Yeah, you're sharing your feelings is a vulnerable thing, and having the right audience is definitely important. Richard, what are your thoughts on Dr. Tan's tip?
I totally agree with her 1,000,000,000,000%. But I also learned something from Gary that I love my haters. I love when somebody leaves a negative comment on something because I'm going to sidebar them. I'm going to direct message them and I'm going to ask them, are you okay? Because I realize that hurt people hurt people. So they might be going through something and it might have just tripped something. So I'm going to reach out to them and say, I seen your comment. Are you okay? Is everything all right? And 99% of the time, we're going to create a new relationship just by them leaving a crappy comment. So sometimes you really don't want to just dismiss the crappy comments because you might have just touched something in them and they're hurting. So it's okay to reach out and say, hey, are you okay? Because I'm hurting, you're hurting. Let's hurt together.
That is so Gary Vee. So Gary Vee. Awesome, guys. Well, we've all reviewed all our tips, and we've got one last little bit. This is one of my favorite parts. We have to come up with our daily challenge. So every day, less than 5 minutes, costs $0, and anyone in the world can do it, from Kathmandu to Fiji. Do you guys have any suggestions on how to improve your mental health by sharing your feelings?
Yep. Does it matter who goes? Because
you go. It's all you right now.
For me, pick up your phone, hit record. 60-second video. Just record whatever your feelings are for the day. Push it out as a short. Push it out as a reel. So it only takes about 60 seconds. This way people know, hey, I'm having a great day. I'm not having a great day. But if I'm having a bad day, tomorrow's going to be a better day. So
that is legit. All right. Any other ideas, Dr. Tan or Bonnie?
I have an idea. What I challenge people to do on a regular basis is, one thing is to compliment 5 people. Just say something really quick. I love your hair. I love your earrings, stuff like that. Reach out to 5 people that you don't normally reach out to on Facebook or just general life, and just say, hey, how you doing? Or also, if you see that somebody's posted something online that's vulnerable, like say, I'm sorry you just, my condolences. Let me know if you need anything from me. Just, little simple things like that. Just reach out to people on a regular basis, people that you don't normally talk to outside of your circle, and then you'll grow a bigger circle, because people like it when people, check in on them and say nice things to them and smile at them. It's, you want to be vulnerable and you want to smile, and just, because you could be the last person that somebody talks to. Maybe somebody's having a super, super bad day. Nobody, they feel invisible. They feel lonely, and you say something to them. Hey, I love your earrings. That was great. You know, and that could really turn their whole day around. I try to tell people how to reframe negatives into positives, and just reach out to people that you don't normally reach out to, and just see, hey, how are you? Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great year, or whatever. Something simple like that.
I love it. One thing, yeah, I mean, we've had this one a few times as a challenge is compliment 3 strangers or 5 strangers, and man, it changes lives. It does awesome. Yeah, it's really cool. One thing I sometimes annoys me though is on the Facebook you're talking about commenting on people that have lost someone, and like I feel so cliche if I just write sorry for your loss, condolences. Do you have any suggestions on something that's more real? Like it's so like, oh, I lost my dog or my cat, and I'm like, sorry to hear about that. And I find that to be so cliche and tacky almost.
Yeah, I understand that, because sometimes everybody will say stuff. But if you could kind of make it more personal, like if you know the name of the animal, or they've had the animal for a long time, I'm sorry that you lost Safi. I know that you take Safi out for walks every day and stuff like that. Just kind of make it more personal, and just say, oh, sorry about your loss, or I know Safi was your little baby boy, you had him for 18 years and stuff, or I'm sorry that Safi was sick or something like that. Just instead of just saying, condolences, I'm sorry, try to make it a little more personal about, like with Richard, I'm sorry you lost your aunt. I know she saved your life. I know she's been in your life a long time, this and that. Make it a little more personal. If you know the name of the person or the animal, anything like that, make it personal. And just, I do appreciate whatever you get, but just try to make it a little bit more personal. So it kind of means something a little more. You put more time in it. It says, that, oh, sorry, oh, sorry, oh, sorry. This, um, like I said, just kind of make it as more personal as you can.
Dr. Tan, what ideas do you have for our daily challenge?
Well, I would say to start with is to breathe. For everybody to breathe. Sometimes we get into doing and we just keep on running, and so to pause and breathe. And sometimes people get into a state they cannot even do deep breathing, and that's okay. You can just notice your breathing. That's help. But to pause, even if it's just 10 seconds, to notice your breathing and breathe. And then in terms of daily challenge, in alongside with this topic, to actually share your feeling, at least with yourself. You can do it with a video. You can write down. I recommend people to write down a journal on what is it that your heart actually feels, not just your mind. There's a difference between what your mind. An example, I have a client who is going through things right now, and and his mind would be like saying, "Oh, oh, what if?" And when he tune into this, his heart, he starts say, "Well, I feel sad, and at the same time, I feel at ease because I know it's going to be okay." And it calms him down right away. So notice your feelings, what's your heart in it feel, in addition to what your mind thinks, and complete that with a gratitude and a win for every day. And it's not being Pollyanna, but at the end of the day, if you can, even if you have things going on and you are able to still have a pen and a paper, or even a pen to write on your hand, that could be your win. And that could be something you can be grateful for. And when we tune on that, then it's allow our energy to align, and we are able to make it easier to move forward.
I love it. All right. I think I've got our daily challenge. We're gonna shrink this video to 30 seconds so it's a little easier for everyone all over the place. You're gonna start with 5 deep breaths, and then you're gonna compliment yourself, and then go about sharing your feelings. Ties in a little bit to each of yours. How do you guys like that one?
Let's do it.
All right, I'm making it official. Daily challenge. Live. I guess it doesn't have to be live. It can be recorded. Record yourself for 30 seconds. Start with 5 deep breaths and a compliment about yourself. Then share those feelings. All right. Sounds good. You guys all excited for that?
Let's do it.
We'll tag you every day, and hopefully we get a bunch of videos coming in and some authenticity, some real AF, some smart sharing, and we'll start that off. And man, thank you guys so much. That turned out to be a really awesome episode. I like it. Any last thoughts? Any last thoughts from any of you?
It was great, Austin. I appreciate meeting everybody. We got a wide variety of backgrounds and everything like that. We're all in different places, and it was really, really cool. Thank you for having me be a part of this. And my one little tip, I do a thing about mindset, using the first letters of the word mindset. Mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific. Again, mindset is knowledge during setbacks. Everything is terrific. And I'm also known as like the mindset mentor. So I use mindset a lot. So it was great, Austin. I appreciate this.
Very cool, guys. All right, I'll do some closing remarks and we'll wrap this up.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed yet another episode of Millionaires Are Made. This one we focused on mental health and sharing feelings. Had some really awesome tips in there. If you didn't get to watch it, go rewatch it or listen to the podcast or just read about it on our webpage, www.millionairesaremade.com. Hope you guys all enjoyed it, and we will see you for the next